The discovery. The relentless storm battered against the reinforced windows of the research station, each gust of wind carrying particles of ice and rock that clattered against the outer shell. Dr. Elara Venn stood at the observation deck, her eyes fixed on the swirling maelstrom outside. Helix 9, a planet on the outer reaches of the Andromeda Galaxy, was notorious for its harsh weather and unforgiving landscape. It was precisely these conditions that made it the perfect location for xenobiological studies. Elara's comlink chirped, breaking her from her trance. "Dr. Venn, we've picked up an anomalous signal. You might want to take a look at this," came the voice of her assistant, Tarak. With a final glance at the raging storm, Elara made her way to the central lab. The research station was a marvel of human engineering, a self-sustaining structure designed to withstand the brutal environment of Helix 9. As she walked through the corridors, the soft hum of machinery and the occasional beep of monitoring equipment filled the air. Tarek, a tall, lanky man with cybernetic enhancements visible along his temples, was hunched over a holographic display when Elara entered the lab. His fingers danced across the interface, manipulating data streams and readouts. "What have we got?" Elara asked, her curiosity piqued. Tarek looked up, his augmented eyes glowing faintly in the dim light of the lab. "It's a biometric signature, unlike anything we've seen before. It's faint, but it's definitely there." Elara leaned in, studying the readouts. The signal was indeed unusual, a complex pattern of energy fluctuations that seemed to pulse with an almost organic rhythm. Location. "About 50 kilometers north of our position," Tarek replied, "in the shattered wastes." Elara felt a mixture of excitement and apprehension. The shattered wastes were a treacherous expanse of jagged rock formations and deep crevasses, made even more dangerous by the unpredictable weather patterns. But the potential for a new discovery was too tempting to ignore. "Prep the rover," she said, her decision made. "We're going out there." Tarek's eyes widened. "In this weather? Dr. Venn, it's suicide." Elara smiled, a glint of determination in her eyes. "That's why we're here, Tarek. To push the boundaries of what's possible. Besides, the storm's supposed to let up in a few hours. We'll use that window." As predicted, the storm began to subside as they finished their preparations. Elara and Tarek, along with two other team members, Zara, a xenobiologist, and Klix, their security officer, boarded the rover. The vehicle was a formidable piece of machinery designed to navigate the harshest terrains while providing a safe, pressurized environment for its occupants. They set out just as the last remnants of the storm dissipated, leaving behind a landscape veiled in an eerie, purple-tinged mist. The rover's powerful engines hummed as it navigated the treacherous terrain, its adaptive wheels morphing to grip the uneven surface. As they ventured deeper into the shattered wastes, the terrain became increasingly challenging. Massive rock formations loomed overhead, their surfaces scarred by centuries of brutal weather. Deep chasms appeared without warning, forcing Klix, who was at the controls, to make frequent course corrections. "Signals getting stronger," Tarek announced, his eyes fixed on the monitoring equipment. "We should be close." Suddenly, the rover lurched to a stop. "End of the line," Klix growled. "Can't go any further without risking a fall into one of these canyons." Elara nodded, already suiting up in her exo-armor. "We'll continue on foot. Zara, you're with me. Tarek, Klix, monitor our vitals and be ready for extraction if needed." The moment Elara stepped out of the rover, the alien nature of Helix 9 hit her full force. The air, though breathable, was thin and carried a metallic taste. The gravity, slightly lower than Earth's, made each step feel like a small bounce. But it was the silence that was most unnerving, an absolute, all-encompassing quiet that seemed to swallow every sound. Guided by Tarek's directions through their comlinks, Elara and Zara made their way through a maze of rock formations. The signal led them to the edge of a deep crevasse, its bottom lost in shadows. "It's coming from down there," Zara said, peering over the edge. Elara activated her suit's scanning systems, probing the depths of the chasm. That's when she saw it, a faint glow, pulsing with the same rhythm as the signal they detected. "We're going down," Elara decided, ignoring Tarek's protests in her ear. She anchored a line to a nearby rock formation and began her descent, Zara following close behind. As they rappelled down the sheer rock face, the glow intensified. About halfway down, they found a small ledge and what appeared to be the entrance to a cave. The pulsing light emanated from within. With a shared look of anticipation, Elara and Zara entered the cave. What they found inside defied all expectations. Curled up in a corner, surrounded by a soft, bioluminescent glow, was a creature unlike anything they'd ever seen. It was roughly the size of a large dog, with a body covered in iridescent scales that shifted colors with each labored breath. 6 limbs ended in delicate, hand-like appendages, and a long serpentine neck supported a head with large, multifaceted eyes. But what struck Elara most was the creature's condition. It was clearly injured, with what appeared to be a deep gash along its side. The bioluminescent glow seemed to be concentrated around the wound, pulsing in time with the creature's breathing. As Elara approached, the creature's eyes flickered open. It regarded her with a gaze that seemed to hold both intelligence and pain. A soft, melodic trill echoed through the cave, and Elara felt a sudden, inexplicable wave of emotion wash over her, fear, pain, and a desperate plea for help. "It's telepathic," Zara whispered, her voice filled with awe. "Elara, do you realize what this means? We've just made first contact with an intelligent alien species." Elara nodded, her mind racing with the implications of their discovery. But as she looked at the wounded creature, another thought took precedence. "We need to help it," she said, her voice firm with resolve. As if understanding her words, the creature's glow intensified, and another wave of emotion flooded Elara's mind, this time a glimmer of hope. In that moment, on a harsh alien world, millions of light years from Earth, an unprecedented connection was forged. Elara knew that nothing would ever be the same again. The true nature of their mission on Calyx 9 had just revealed itself, and the wounded creature before them held the key to unlocking the greatest mystery of all, the diversity of intelligent life in the universe. As Elara began to assess the creature's injuries, her scientific training battling with her surge of empathy, she realized that this was just the beginning of a much larger story, a story that would challenge everything humanity thought they knew about their place in the cosmos. The cave pulsed with an otherworldly glow, casting dancing shadows on the rough-hewn walls. Dr. Elara Venn knelt beside the injured alien creature, her mind still reeling from the implications of their discovery. Beside her, Zara fumbled with their med kit, her hands shaking with a mixture of excitement and nervousness. "We need to stabilize it before we can even think about moving it," Elara said, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. She reached out slowly, her hand hovering just above the creature's iridescent scales. The alien's multifaceted eyes fixed on Elara, and another wave of emotion washed over her. This time, she sensed curiosity mingled with the pain and fear. The creature's telepathic abilities seemed to be growing stronger, or perhaps Elara was simply becoming more attuned to them. As Elara's hand made contact with the alien's scales, a jolt of energy surged through her. Images and sensations flooded her mind, vast, star-filled skies, the rush of flight through alien atmospheres, the warmth of a communal nest. She gasped, momentarily overwhelmed by the intensity of the connection. "Elara." Zara's concerned voice broke through the mental link. "Are you all right?" Elara blinked, coming back to herself. "I'm fine," she managed, her voice hoarse. It's showing me things. It's memories, I think." The creature trilled softly, the sound reverberating through the cave. Elara felt a gentle probe in her mind, a questioning tendril of thought. Instinctively, she opened herself to it, allowing her own memories to flow. She shared images of Earth, of the research station on Calyx 9, of the journey that had brought her to this moment. As the exchange of memories and emotions continued, Elara began to understand more about the creature. It was young, by its species standards, and it had been separated from its pod during a migration. The injury had been caused by an encounter with one of Calyx 9's native predators, forcing the creature to seek shelter in his cave. "We need to name it," Zara said, breaking the silence that had fallen over the cave. "We can't keep calling it the creature or it." Elara nodded, still maintaining physical contact with the alien. She sent a questioning thought, trying to convey the concept of a name. In response, she received an impression of a complex, musical sequence, the creature's true name in its own language. "Lyra," Elara said suddenly. "We'll call it her, Lyra." The newly named Lyra trilled again, this time with a note that Elara interpreted as approval. "Okay, Lyra," Elara said softly, "we're going to help you, but you need to trust us." She sent soothing thoughts as Zara approached with a med kit. The wound on Lyra's side was deep, but thankfully it didn't appear to have damaged any vital organs. As they worked to clean and seal the injury, Elara maintained a constant stream of calming emotions, explaining each step of the process through their mental link. "Remarkable," Zara murmured as she applied a regenerative gel to the wound. "Her cellular structure is unlike anything I've ever seen. The way her tissues are already responding to the treatment, it's exponentially faster than any Earth species." Elara nodded, fascinated despite the gravity of the situation. "We'll need to run a full analysis once we get her back to the research station, but first we need to figure out how to move her." As if in response to Elara's thoughts, Lyra began to stir. Her 6 limbs unfolded, and she rose unsteadily to her feet. Standing at full height, she was larger than Elara had initially estimated, her serpentine neck extending to bring her head level with Elara's. "Careful," Elara cautioned, both verbally and mentally. "You're still weak." Lyra's response came not in words, but in a series of images and emotions. Elara saw the cave entrance, the treacherous climb, the rover waiting above. She felt Lyra's determination, her willingness to endure discomfort to reach safety. "She wants to try," Elara translated for Zara's benefit. "She thinks she can make it to the rover if we help her." Zara looked skeptical. "It's a risky climb, even for us, for an injured alien." "I don't think we have much choice," Elara replied. "We can't stay in this cave indefinitely, and we don't have the equipment to transport her if she's unconscious." After a moment's hesitation, Zara nodded. "All right, but we go slow, and at the first sign of trouble, we abort." They made their way carefully out of the cave, Lyra leaning heavily on Elara for support. The climb was arduous, with Zara going ahead to secure additional lines, while Elara helped Lyra navigate the sheer rock face. Several times, Lyra's strength seemed to falter, but each time, Elara felt a renewed surge of determination through their mental link. By the time they reached the top, all 3 were exhausted. Clix and Tarek, who had been anxiously monitoring their progress, rushed to help as soon as they emerged from the crevasse. By all the stars, Tarek breathed, his augmented eyes wide as he took in Lyra's alien form. "It's real. You actually found it." "Her," Elara corrected automatically. "We found her, and her name is Lyra." As they helped Lyra into the rover, Elara felt the alien's mind brush against hers once more. This time, the emotions were clearer, more focused: gratitude, relief, and an overwhelming sense of trust. The journey back to the research station was tense. Lyra's large form took up most of the rover's cargo space, and her bioluminescent glow pulsed erratically, reflecting her discomfort with the unfamiliar motion of the vehicle. Elara sat with her, maintaining physical contact and a constant mental link, trying to keep Lyra calm and distracted from the pain of her injury. As they approached the research station, Elara realized that their real challenges were only beginning. They had made first contact with an intelligent alien species, one with remarkable telepathic abilities. The implications were staggering, both scientifically and politically. "Tarek," she said, her voice tight with the weight of responsibility, "as soon as we're in range, I need you to send an encrypted message to Earth. Priority level Omega. We've got a first contact situation." Tarek nodded, his fingers already flying over the communication console. "What do you want me to tell them?" Elara looked at Lyra, who was watching the exchange with those large, multifaceted eyes. Through their link, Elara sensed curiosity, a hint of apprehension, but also a burning desire to learn, to understand. "Tell them." Elara paused, choosing her words carefully. "Tell them that everything is about to change. We are not alone in the universe, and our new friends have much to teach us if we're willing to listen." As the research station came into view, its sleek form a stark contrast to the rugged landscape of Calyx 9, Elara felt a mix of emotions: excitement, fear, hope. They were standing on the brink of a new era for humanity, one that would redefine their place in the cosmos. But more than that, Elara realized they had been given a precious gift: the chance to forge a connection across the vast gulf of interstellar space, to learn from a being so fundamentally different yet so surprisingly similar in its capacity for emotion and intelligence. As Lyra trilled softly beside her, Elara made a silent promise. Whatever challenges lay ahead, whatever obstacles they might face, she would do everything in her power to nurture this fragile new relationship. For in Lyra's multifaceted eyes, Elara saw not just the reflection of an alien world, but the promise of a shared future among the stars. The research station's med bay hummed with activity as Dr. Elara Venn and her team worked tirelessly to ensure Lyra's comfort and recovery. It had been 3 days since they had brought the alien back from the shattered wastes, and in that time, the station had been transformed. What was once a quiet outpost dedicated to xenobiology had become the focal point of humanity's first contact with an intelligent extraterrestrial species. Elara stood at the observation window, watching as Zara and a team of xenobiologists conducted another series of non-invasive scans on Lyra. The alien's wound was healing at an astonishing rate, her iridescent scales knitting together before their very eyes. But it was Lyra's mental capabilities that truly fascinated Elara. In the past 72 hours, their ability to communicate had grown exponentially. What began as vague impressions and emotions had evolved into a complex exchange of ideas and concepts. Lyra's species, which called themselves the Harmonians, possessed a rich culture based on telepathic bonds and a deep connection to the cosmic energies that permeated the universe. Elara's comlink chirped, pulling her from her thoughts. "Dr. Venn," Tarek's voice came through, tension evident in his tone. "We've received a response from Earth. The Council wants to speak with you. Now." Elara took a deep breath, steeling herself. She had known this moment would come, but that didn't make it any easier. "I'll be right there," she replied. Before leaving, she approached Lyra, placing a hand gently on the alien's scales. "I'll be back soon," she projected, the thought accompanied by reassuring emotions. "Rest and heal." Lyra's multifaceted eyes blinked slowly, and Elara felt a wave of understanding and encouragement wash over her. It never ceased to amaze her how quickly Lyra had learned to modulate her telepathic communications for a human mind. In the command center, Tarek had already set up the secure holographic link. As Elara entered, the air shimmered, and suddenly she was face to face with the stern visages of the Earth Council for Extraterrestrial Affairs. Dr. Venn, the council president, a sharp-featured woman named Dr. Helena Rossetti, began without preamble. "We've reviewed your initial reports. To say that the council is concerned would be an understatement." Elara straightened her posture, meeting the holographic gazes unflinchingly. "With all due respect, Madame President, I believe concerned is the wrong word. This is the greatest discovery in human history. We should be celebrating." Another council member, a gruff-looking man Elara recognized as Admiral Chen of the Space Force, leaned forward, celebrating. Doctor, you've brought an unknown alien life form onto a human research station without proper quarantine procedures. The potential risks are minimal compared to the potential benefits, Elara interrupted, her voice firm. Lyra, the Harmonian, possesses technology and knowledge far beyond our own. More importantly, she represents a peaceful, intelligent species willing to communicate with us. This is our chance to learn, to grow, to finally take our place among the stars. Dr. Rossetti's expression softened slightly. We understand your enthusiasm, Dr. Venn, but you must understand our position. The public is not yet aware of this. Harmonian. If word were to get out prematurely, the panic could be catastrophic. Elara felt a flicker of frustration. So what are you suggesting? That we keep Lyra a secret? That we squander this opportunity out of fear? Not at all, Admiral Chen interjected. We're suggesting that we proceed with caution. A team of our top scientists and military personnel will be dispatched to Calyx 9 immediately. In the meantime, you are to limit your interactions with the alien and focus on containing the situation. The words hit Elara like a physical blow. Containing the situation. Lyra is not a situation to be contained. She's an intelligent being who needs our help, who trusts us. A trust that may be misplaced, Dr. Rossetti said softly. Dr. Venn, we've reviewed the brain scans you sent. The level of telepathic activity you've reported, it's unprecedented. We cannot rule out the possibility that this Harmonian is influencing your thoughts, manipulating your emotions. Elara shook her head vehemently. It's not up for debate, Admiral Chen cut in. The team will arrive within the week. Until then, you are to follow strict protocols. No unsupervised contact with the alien. All communications are to be recorded and transmitted to us for analysis. Is that clear, Doctor? For a moment, Elara considered arguing further, but she saw the resolve in the council members' eyes and knew it would be futile. Understood, she said, her voice tight. As the holographic images flickered out, Elara leaned heavily against the console, her mind racing. She had expected skepticism, even fear, from Earth. But this level of mistrust, this cold calculation, it went against everything she believed in. Tarek, she said, turning to her assistant who had been silently observing the exchange. How long until the Earth team arrives? Tarek consulted his datapad. Based on their projected departure time and using the latest FTL drives, 5 days, 17 hours. Elara nodded, a plan already forming in her mind. That's not much time. We need to work fast. Work fast on what? Tarek asked, a note of apprehension in his voice. On proving them wrong, Elara replied, her determination evident in every word. On showing them that Lyra and the Harmonians are not a threat, but an opportunity. An opportunity for growth, for understanding, for advancing humanity in ways we've only dreamed of. She strode towards the door, her steps purposeful. Gather the team. We've got work to do. Over the next few days, the research station became a hive of activity. Despite the council's orders, Elara refused to distance herself from Lyra. Instead, she doubled down on their interactions, pushing the boundaries of their telepathic communication. With Zara's help, they developed new scanning techniques to map the intricacies of Lyra's neural patterns. Tarek worked tirelessly to create a database of Harmonian language and culture based on the information Lyra shared. Even Clix, initially skeptical of the alien, found himself drawn into the project, working on potential protocols for future human-Harmonian interactions. As they worked, Elara felt the bond between herself and Lyra growing stronger. The alien's curiosity about humanity was insatiable, and in turn, Lyra shared glimpses of Harmonian society that left Elara in awe. She learned of vast cities built in the upper atmospheres of gas giants, of spacefaring creatures that served as living ships, of technologies that could harness the energy of stars. But it was the Harmonians' philosophy that truly captured Elara's imagination. Theirs was a society built on empathy and mutual understanding, where conflicts were resolved through shared experiences rather than force. The implications for human society, if they could learn even a fraction of this wisdom, were staggering. As the deadline approached, Elara found herself working around the clock, desperately trying to compile all they had learned into a comprehensive report. She knew that the fate of human-harmonian relations might hinge on these first impressions. On the eve of the Earth team's arrival, Elara sat alone in the observation deck, staring out at the stormy surface of Calyx 9. The planet that had once seemed so alien, so hostile, now felt like the backdrop to the most important moment in human history. She felt a familiar presence in her mind, Lyra, reaching out from the med bay. "They come soon," the thought came, tinged with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. "Yes," Elara replied mentally, still marveling at how natural this form of communication had become. "I don't know if we've done enough, if they'll understand." A wave of reassurance washed over her. "You have done more than enough, Elara. You have opened your mind, your heart. That is all anyone can ask." Elara smiled, drawing strength from Lyra's confidence. "I just hope it's enough to open their minds too." As she watched another storm gathering on the horizon, Elara knew that the real challenge was only beginning. The arrival of the Earth team would be a pivotal moment, not just for her and Lyra, but for the future of both their species. Whatever happened, Elara was determined to stand her ground. She had glimpsed a future of cooperation and understanding between humans and Harmonians, and she would fight with every fiber of her being to make that future a reality. As the first streaks of light from the approaching Earth ship pierced Calyx 9's turbulent atmosphere, Elara straightened her shoulders, ready to face whatever came next. The fate of two worlds now rested in her hands, and she had no intention of letting either of them down. The confrontation. The arrival of the Earth team brought a palpable tension to the research station on Calyx 9. Dr. Elara Venn stood in the docking bay, her posture rigid as she watched the airlock cycle open. Behind her, Tarek and Zara exchanged nervous glances, while Klix maintained a stoic presence, his hand resting casually on his holstered weapon. As the airlock doors slid apart, a group of 5 individuals stepped through. At their head was a tall, imposing woman with steel-gray hair and piercing blue eyes. Elara recognized her immediately from countless news broadcasts and official communications. Dr. Adeline Frost, the head of Earth's Xenological Research Division. "Dr. Venn," Frost said, her voice cool and professional, "I trust you understand the gravity of the situation we find ourselves in." Elara nodded, meeting Frost's gaze steadily. "I do, Dr. Frost, and I hope you understand the incredible opportunity we have before us." Frost's expression remained impassive. "That remains to be seen. I'd like to examine your guest immediately." As they made their way to the med bay, Elara felt a familiar presence brush against her mind. Lyra was awake and aware of the new arrivals. Elara sent a quick, reassuring thought, hoping to calm both Lyra and her own nerves. The moment Dr. Frost laid eyes on Lyra, her composure faltered for just a second. The Harmonian's iridescent scales shimmered in the med bay's lights, her multifaceted eyes regarding the newcomers with unmistakable intelligence. "Remarkable," Frost breathed, before quickly schooling her features back into a mask of professional detachment. "Dr. Venn, I'd like you to step out while we conduct our initial examinations." Elara felt a spike of alarm, both from herself and from Lyra. "With all due respect, Dr. Frost, I don't think that's a good idea. Lyra trusts me. My presence will help keep her calm during your tests." Frost's eyes narrowed. "That's precisely what concerns me, Dr. Venn. Your reports suggest an unusually strong bond with this creature. We need to assess it without your influence." "She's not a creature," Elara snapped, her patience wearing thin. "She's an intelligent being with thoughts and feelings, and her name is Lyra." The standoff was interrupted by a gentle trill from Lyra. Elara felt a wave of calm wash over her, accompanied by a clear message. "It's okay. I can handle this." Reluctantly, Elara nodded. "Fine. but I want to observe from the adjacent room. And at the first sign of distress from Lyra, I'm coming back in." Frost agreed, but her expression suggested she was merely humoring Elara. As Elara left the med bay, she cast one last glance at Lyra, trying to convey all her support and concern in a single look. The next few hours were agonizing. Elara watched from behind the observation window as Frost and her team conducted test after test on Lyra. They took samples, ran scans, and attempted various forms of communication. Through it all, Lyra remained calm and cooperative, though Elara could sense her growing weariness. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, Frost emerged from the med bay. Her expression was troubled, her earlier cool professionalism replaced by a mix of awe and uncertainty. "Dr. Venn," she said, her voice low, "I owe you an apology. The level of intelligence, the complexity of neural patterns we've observed, it's beyond anything we could have imagined." Elara felt a surge of hope. "Then you understand. You see the potential for what this could mean." Frost nodded slowly. "I do, but I also see the risks. The power of the telepathic abilities your team reported, it's real, and it's far more advanced than anything we've encountered before." "It's not a weapon, Dr. Frost," Elara insisted. "It's a tool for understanding, for bridging the gap between species." "Perhaps," Frost conceded, "but others might not see it that way. There are those on Earth who would view this as a threat, who would push for more aggressive research methods." The implication hung heavy in the air. Elara felt a chill run down her spine. "You can't be serious. Lyra came to us for help. She trusts us. We can't betray that trust." Frost's expression hardened. "Sometimes, for the greater good, we have to make difficult decisions. The potential benefits of understanding this telepathic ability, it could revolutionize everything from medicine to space travel." "At what cost?" Elara demanded. "Our humanity, our integrity." Before Frost could respond, an alarm blared through the station. Tarek's voice came over the intercom, panic evident in his tone. "Dr. Venn, we've got multiple ships approaching. They're not responding to hails, and their weapon systems are active." Elara's blood ran cold. She turned to Frost, accusations burning in her eyes. "Did you do this? Did you tell them about Lyra?" Frost looked genuinely shocked. "No, this isn't us. My team's ship is the only one that was supposed to come." As the realization dawned on both of them, a new fear took hold. Someone else had found out about Lyra, someone with less noble intentions than even the most cautious Earth scientists. Elara raced back into the med bay, Frost close on her heels. Lyra was already alert, her bioluminescence pulsing rapidly in response to the alarm. "Danger," Lyra's thought came, clear and urgent. "Many minds approach, filled with greed, with hunger for power." "Pirates," Frost breathed. "Or worse, rogue factions looking to acquire alien tech by any means necessary." Elara's mind raced. The research station wasn't equipped for a battle. They had minimal defenses, certainly nothing that could stand up to multiple hostile ships. As if reading her thoughts, and perhaps she was, Lyra's mental voice cut through Elara's panic. "There is a way, but it requires trust, complete trust." Elara didn't hesitate. "Whatever it is, Lyra, I trust you. What do we need to do?" Lyra's next thought came not just to Elara, but expanded outward, touching the minds of everyone in the room, Frost, her team, Tarek, and the others who had rushed to the med bay. "Join hands," the thought came, accompanied by a vivid mental image. "Form a circle, open your minds." For a moment, no one moved. Then slowly, Elara stepped forward and took Lyra's hand, or rather, placed her hand on one of Lyra's appendages. She held out her other hand to Frost. The older scientist hesitated for just a second before grasping Elara's hand. One by one, the others joined the circle, until they were all connected, with Lyra at the center. Now, Lyra's thought came, "We call for help." What happened next was beyond anything Elara could have imagined. She felt her consciousness expand, stretching out beyond the confines of the station, beyond Calyx 9, beyond the solar system. She was aware of every mind in the circle, their thoughts and emotions blending into a harmonious whole. And then, impossibly, she felt something else. Other minds, vast and ancient, scattered across the galaxy. The Harmonian collective consciousness. Through Lyra, through the power of their joined minds, they sent out a call, a plea for help, carrying with it all the hope and fear and potential of this fragile first contact between humans and Harmonians. As Elara's consciousness snapped back to her body, she became aware of a new sound cutting through the blaring alarms. Tarek's voice, filled with awe and disbelief. "Dr. Venn, you need to see this. The scanners, they're lighting up. Dozens of ships just appeared out of nowhere. They're forming a defensive perimeter around us." Elara met Lyra's multifaceted eyes, saw the same mix of relief and excitement she felt reflected there. Whatever happened next, she knew that everything had changed. The boundaries between species, between worlds, had been irreversibly blurred. As the Harmonian fleet moved to intercept the hostile ships, Elara realized that they stood on the brink of a new era. One where the power of empathy and understanding could reshape the very fabric of galactic society. The real work, she knew, was just beginning. The arrival of the Harmonian fleet had changed everything. As Dr. Elara Venn stood on the observation deck of the research station, she marveled at the sight before her. The hostile ships that had threatened them mere hours ago were now retreating, their weapon systems powered down under the watchful eyes of the Harmonian vessels. The Harmonian ships were unlike anything Elara had ever seen. They seemed to pulse with an inner light, their hulls shimmering with the same iridescent quality as Lyra's sails. They moved with a fluid grace that defied conventional physics, as if they were more living creature than machine. "It's incredible," Dr. Frost murmured, standing beside Elara. The head of Earth's Xenological Research Division had undergone a profound change since their shared telepathic experience. Gone was the cold, calculating scientist, replaced by someone filled with wonder and a burning curiosity. The arrival of the Harmonian fleet had changed everything. As Dr. Elara Venn stood on the observation deck of the research station, she marveled at the sight before her. The hostile ships that had threatened them mere hours ago were now retreating, their weapon systems powered down under the watchful eyes of the Harmonian vessels. The Harmonian ships were unlike anything Elara had ever seen. They seemed to pulse with an inner light, their hulls shimmering with the same iridescent quality as Lyra's sails. They moved with a fluid grace that defied conventional physics, as if they were more living creature than machine. "It's incredible," Dr. Frost murmured, standing beside Elara. The head of Earth's Xenological Research Division had undergone a profound change since their shared telepathic experience. Gone was the cold, calculating scientist, replaced by someone filled with wonder and a burning curiosity. Elara nodded, her mind still reeling from the events of the past few hours. "This is just the beginning," she said softly. "Everything we thought we knew about our place in the universe, it's all about to change." A gentle trill from behind them announced Lyra's arrival. The Harmonian glided into the room, her movements far more fluid and graceful now that she had fully healed. Elara felt a warm pulse of affection through their mental link. "My people wish to speak with yours," Lyra communicated, her thoughts touching not just Elara's mind, but reaching out to include Frost and the others in the room. "It is time for proper introductions." What followed was unlike any first contact scenario Elara could have imagined. The Harmonians didn't send ambassadors in the traditional sense. Instead, they established a vast telepathic network, linking the minds of key individuals on the research station with representatives of their species. Elara found herself awash in a sea of alien thoughts and memories. She saw the history of the Harmonian species unfold before her mind's eye, their evolution from aquatic creatures in the methane oceans of their homeworld, their development of biotechnology that allowed them to survive in the vacuum of space, They're spreading across the galaxy not as conquerors, but as explorers and peacekeepers. In turn, the Harmonians experienced the history of humanity. Elara felt their fascination with human art, music, and literature. Their admiration for humanity's resilience and adaptability. Their concern over humanity's capacity for conflict, but also their hope for what humans might become. As the telepathic exchange continued, Elara became aware of a growing consensus among both humans and Harmonians. This meeting of minds was more than just a cultural exchange, it was the birth of something new. A bridge between species that promised to reshape the future of both. Hours passed, though the telepathic link it felt like both an eternity and a mere moment. When Elara finally returned fully to her own consciousness, she found the observation deck buzzing with excited conversation. Scientists, diplomats, and crew members were all talking at once, their eyes alight with the wonder of what they had experienced. Dr. Frost approached Elara, her expression one of awe and determination. "Dr. Venn," she said, her voice filled with newfound respect, "I owe you an apology. What you've achieved here, it's beyond anything we could have hoped for. The Council needs to know about this immediately." Elara nodded, feeling a weight lift from her shoulders. "Thank you, Dr. Frost. But it wasn't just me. None of this would have been possible without Lyra, without all of us working together." Frost smiled, a genuine warmth in her eyes. "Indeed, and that, I think, is the most important lesson we can take from this. The power of cooperation, of empathy. It's not just a human trait, it's a universal constant." As the humans continued to discuss the implications of their contact with the Harmonians, Elara felt a gentle nudge in her mind. Lyra was calling her. Excusing herself, Elara made her way to a quiet corner of the deck. Lyra was there, her multifaceted eyes reflecting the starlight from the viewport. "There is more to be done," she communicated, a mixture of excitement and solemnity in her thoughts. Elara nodded, understanding without needing further explanation. The rest of humanity needs to know. Not just the scientists and the politicians, but everyone. This changes everything. "Yes," Lyra agreed, "but change can be frightening. There will be those who resist, who fear the unknown. Then we'll face that challenge together," Elara said firmly. "We'll show them what's possible when we open our minds, when we reach out instead of turning away." Lyra's approval radiated through their mental link. "You have a role to play, Elara. A bridge between our peoples. Are you ready for that responsibility?" Elara took a deep breath, considering the magnitude of what lay ahead. The task of introducing humanity to a galactic community, of helping her species take its first real steps into a larger universe. It was daunting, but also thrilling. "I'm ready," she said, her voice filled with determination. "Whatever comes next, we'll face it together." As if in response to her words, a new ship appeared in the viewport. Larger than the others, it pulsed with a light that seemed to call to something deep within Elara's soul. She knew, without being told, that this was the Harmonian leadership, coming to make the first official contact with humanity. "It begins," Lyra's thought came, filled with hope and possibility. Elara straightened her shoulders, ready to step into her new role as a bridge between worlds. As she watched the Harmonian ship approach, she felt a profound sense of rightness. This was why she had become a xenobiologist, why she had journeyed to the farthest reaches of known space. To discover, to understand, to connect. The future that lay ahead was uncertain, filled with challenges and wonders beyond imagination. But as Elara stood there, with Lyra by her side and the combined knowledge of two species flowing through her mind, she knew one thing for certain. The echoes of this moment of empathy, of connection across the vast gulf of space, would resonate throughout the galaxy for generations to come. And in those echoes lay the promise of a harmony greater than any single species could achieve alone. As the Harmonian ship docked with the station, Elara took her first step towards that future, ready to help write the next chapter in the cosmic story of life, intelligence, and the enduring power of understanding.